it's Terri, your cheerleader of dreams. In this video today, you're gonna learn one simple technique that science has proven and God's word proves will improve your life instantly. Now, real quick, here is a photo of the Eiffel Tower, which is 1,063 feet, 7,300 tons of metal. It weighs over 10,000 tons, yet a 5'3" 3.5" woman can touch the top of it. It's all about perspective, right? In fact, I love taking my team of ladies on our mission trips to Trocadero and Paris and posing them like this. And one time I messed with my nephew Preston and told him he nailed it. He was way off. But perspective is all about how you see a situation or an object or a person. Well, science has proven that just changing your perspective changes your outcome. In fact, listen to this crazy experiment that was done on housekeepers at a hotel. Now, I heard this on a TED Talk by Dr. Crum. So what happened was they tested 84 hotel housekeepers in 7 different hotels across the United States. They're on their feet all day long. They're burning a lot of calories just doing their job. But what's interesting is they don't see it in that light. They don't see their work as exercise. In fact, they were asked, do you exercise regularly? 2/3 said no, not at all. Now, on a scale of 0 to 10, they said, how much exercise do you get? 1/3 of the housekeepers said 0. I get no exercise at all. Now, scientists thought what would happen, if we could just change their perspective. So they took these women, they split them into 2 different groups. They measured them in a variety of things like their weight, their blood pressure, their body fat, their satisfaction with their job. They took one group, gave them a simple 15-minute presentation, and showed them this poster that said, your work is good exercise. In fact, it satisfies the Surgeon General's requirement of 30 minutes of moderate physical activity. In fact, they said you should expect to receive those kind of benefits. They came back 4 weeks later, measured that group again. Get this, the groups who did not receive this information did not change. The groups who did looked different, dropped weight, reduced their blood pressure, dropped body fat, and reported things like liking their job more. What in the world? They said just changing their perspective about their workday affected their health, their well-being, without ever changing their behavior. They didn't join a gym. They didn't take on more jobs. They didn't change their diet. Science was proving that having a different perspective produces a different outcome. Isn't this amazing? Well, when you change the way you see your situation changes. Isn't this amazing? I shared a message on changing your perspective at my annual success conference, and I wanted to, for the first time this week, I wanted to give you my personal notes from that conference, along with a list of 10 questions that you need to ask yourself because it's going to help you with the way you see 3 things. 1, your purpose, your assignment, your calling. Number 2, your challenges, what you're dealing with right now. And number 3, your next level or your breakthrough. Now, I really believe that these notes and this list of questions is going to encourage you and help you stay positive about what's happening in your life right now. So just click the link in the description and I'll give you my personal notes and that list of questions instantly. Okay, the bottom line, your perspective or how you see things changes everything. You can take 2 people, put them in the same circumstances, and one is complaining, enduring life. The other one is joyful, grateful, enjoying life. In fact, it's been proven. It's been proven. If you focus on the negative, you will attract more to complain about. If you focus on the positive, you will attract more to be grateful for. Now, I don't know what you're going through right now, but I want you to know that it's no surprise to God. He has a way of making all things, I'm talking about all things in your life, work together for your good. Romans 8:28 tells us that. Now, I completely understand that may seem impossible right now. Maybe you lost your job and it feels like you got the breath knocked out of you. That's what happened, to Steve Jobs. You may have heard the story, but at 21, Steve Jobs founded Apple Computer. By 23, he was incredibly successful, known around the world, 7 years later, after developing this global brand, so many products, he clashed with his board of directors and was fired from the company he started. Can you believe this? He even told his friends he felt betrayed and wronged, but he quickly snapped out of it. He changed his perspective about his situation, and instead of sitting around in self-pity, he went out and learned new skills and started a new company. Well, this company had something that Apple just really needed, and it was so successful that Apple purchased his company and brought him back as the CEO. Steve Jobs actually said, "If I hadn't been fired, I would have never learned these new skills that have made me into who I am." He changed his life because he changed his perspective. You know, maybe you had a relationship end and you feel so much pain and rejection, you can't even sleep or eat good right now. In fact, do you remember that movie, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days? And Kate Hudson's at work and they're going around the room trying to think of good articles to write for the next magazine that she worked for. And they get to Kate Hudson's friend and one of them said, you know, she's sad, she just got dumped. And her boss said, good, write about it. I'm not trying to make light of what you might be going through because I know the pain of relationships ending, and trust me, I don't think there's anything more painful when you feel that. But when you change your perspective that if God ended something, it was for your benefit. When something ends, God always has a new beginning. I'm telling you, it changes everything. And you know, that's what happened to the singer Adele. She was so brokenhearted over a relationship that ended. She was so depressed. She went out for a walk one night in London and got an idea as she's walking along the pavements for a song called Chasing Pavements. She became an international sensation, changed her perspective, and it changed her whole life. Well, maybe you feel the pain of your past over, you know, what you've been through, even though it's been years. You still hurt deeply over all that you've endured. You know, you think about people like Joyce Meyer. After being sexually abused by her father for 14, 16 years, and her mom knew it was happening and did nothing to stop it, but one day she decided to use her pain to bring healing to others. You know, they say the broken become masters at mending. Well, Joyce Meyer changed her perspective about what she went through, and it changed her whole life. And it's probably impacted your life. I know it's impacted mine. Well, when you think about it like this, when airplanes take off, do you know that they don't take off with the wind? They actually take off against the wind. What does that mean? The storms that are coming against you, they're not meant to keep you down. They're meant to lift you to a higher level. Sometimes you just need to change your perspective about what you're going through, knowing that God is going to work this together for your good. You know, I heard where over 1 million people every week die. 1 million every week. You're still alive. If you have a roof over your head, you're better off than 75% of the world's population. If you have $15 to your name, you're in the top 8% of the world's wealthiest people. $15. I just want to encourage you today to change your perspective about what you're going through, and it will open the door for God to change your life. So for extra encouragement this week, I want you to get your free copy of my personal notes to help you shift your perspective, along with the top 10 questions to ask yourself. I'm telling you, this list is going to help you shift your perspective and stay optimistic about what God is doing. And don't forget, I'll be cheering you on to live your dreams. Hey YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and to get more inspirational content, click one of these videos right here. And remember, I'm cheering you on to live your dreams.